Hey Deckers, Liam here. Payday 3 has another technical beta up which you can request access for on Steam, and it should give it to you instantly. Now Payday 3 does run on Steam Deck, but there's a couple of issues you do need to solve before you can actually get it to run. The first thing is I'll suggest using a web browser that you go and manually sign up for their Nebula account, because this third-party account is required to play the game. Once you actually sign up for it, you can then link your Steam account, so when you actually load the game in Steam, it will just automatically log you in. A link to the Nebula account system will be in the description. Next up, you need to make sure you set it to Proton Experimental in the Properties and Compatibility section of your library in Steam. After you actually try and run it, what will happen is you'll be greeted with an error box in the middle of the screen like this. So what I'm going to do is show you how to fix it. You'll need to go into desktop mode and load up the Discover store and install a program called Proton Tricks. When you've actually installed Proton Tricks and loaded it up, you might see an error box about not being able to read the SD card, but it does give you the command that you can copy and then paste it into a terminal. Just hit enter and that will give it access to the SD card. However, if the game is installed on your SSD, you don't need to worry about that bit at all. Now, once you actually loaded up Proton Tricks, just need to scroll for Payday 3 and hit OK. During the next bit, you might have to wait a little while between the Proton Tricks screens loading up, so just be patient. The first thing that you'll need to do is just select the default wine prefix and then hit OK. Then select at the top, install a Windows DLL or component and hit OK. Then scroll down the list for VC Run 2022, and when you've selected it, hit OK. Here again, you'll just need a little bit of patience and you'll see a couple of simple installer screens appear, and you'll just need to go through them, let it install, then another one will come up, go through it, let it install, and when it's finished, it will bring back the Proton Tricks window where you can just close it because you are finished. Once that's done, you can just go back to gaming mode and load up Payday 3, where if you followed my initial advice about setting up the Nebula account and doing the Steam account linking, it should send you right to the game menu where you can actually begin playing. There are some issues with small text though, because just before you get to the main menu, it gives you a couple of screens where you have to press OK, and frankly, they were just unreadable. So it's yet another developer that needs to improve their text scaling for smaller screens. The default graphics settings had everything basically on ultra, so I turned them all down to low and I turned off motion blur, so what you're seeing is everything on the lowest details possible, and even on the lowest possible settings, the game simply does not perform well. Playing a while to let it build up some shaders before this video, because the first initial run or so is awful with the stuttering and the extreme low performance, but after that it's still not particularly good. To be clear though, this is a technical beta, this is not the full version. They may have some performance upgrades coming, but it's releasing in full on September 21st, so it's not exactly the best sign for it. To be clear, there's a few places where it can stick to 30 frames a second, but when you're outside and the action is hot, it really does become a problem. Even when the shaders are built up, so you don't have the shader stutter, there's plenty of just general performance drops, even when you're inside the building. But the outside is a special problem with the low performance. It is simply all over the place. And it's really difficult to aim when you've got performance bouncing about all over the place. I should probably note here as well, they did add in Denuvo anti-tamper, so I should mention that before I forget, because I know plenty of gamers have a pretty firm stance on Denuvo. I don't know if Denuvo really causes much of a performance issue, but it's worth noting anyway. I've played a good couple of rounds on it now, and I've come away thinking that it will need quite a lot of optimization work from Starbreeze to get it to a properly playable level on Steam Deck. This is a shooter after all, and constantly bouncing below 30 frames a second is simply not going to cut it. To be clear though, Starbreeze did say they have numerous improvements ready to roll out for the release, like better controller aim assist and various other features, as this is a bit different because they're saying the technical beta is actually using an older version that they're letting people play right now, So I'm kind of hopeful, but I'm not really holding my breath on that. With all the releases that we've seen recently that don't particularly perform well, even on desktop, I'm not holding my hope for massive improvements at release. I would quite like to play more of this though, so I do hope Starbreeze can really nail down those performance issues. And it's funny really, you would think that with the many millions the Steam Deck has sold, that by now it would give developers a reasonable and accessible hardware baseline to optimize for. Because we've seen tons of, frankly, more graphically intense games perform a lot better on Steam Deck, but it seems we're some ways off developers actually focusing properly on it to begin with. But that's it for my test video of the Payday 3 beta on Steam Deck. Leave a comment and let me know what you think. I'm always keen to read your thoughts, and I'll see you after the weekend for more videos, unless something really big comes up.
In custody. They'll need more than that to take you down. But they're still around, so don't relax just yet.
Surrender peacefully. Everybody okay? We got you. Good on me. I got the bloody shield.
Frosty. They've raised the goddamn bollards. Find a way to get rid of them so the van can get in. I'm tracking another assault team. They'll be there in about 30 seconds.